That's a good girl. Say hello, Coco. Say hey to everybody. Yeah. Say hey. How y'all doing? Welcome. Yeah. Say I'm just giving Mama some loving this morning. Yes. I'm glad Coco stopped in. She came over right as I turned on the camera and wanted some loving and jumped right up in my arms. Um, she's kind of settled down over there now, but she just wants to say hey to her mom this morning. Thanks for letting me do that. Today, I have been stitching. I put up a video this morning and then took Coco, well, I took Coco for a walk first. Then I put up the video. And then today, I have been working on a prompt for my 24 hours of cross stitch and also for a new challenge that I have decided to try to meet this week. It is in Carrie Pickering's group, and this I had to do because it's about the Smoky Mountains. The article that they write, you know, the whole paragraph about was about the Great Smoky Mountains and the Appalachian Trail and all of this right in my home. I mean, this is my backyard, so I had to do this one. And there are 5 prompts for that, and so this met one of them. And I didn't even know that until after I finished stitching it. And then I said, let me just check and see if this will meet one of the new prompts. And it did. So let me tell you how I got that to work. First of all, I stitched on it because I wanted to complete something today. This is my magazine, monthly magazine challenge. And I had the tea left for toy store, which I said was my Kringles. This is in the acrostic of festive, and I was working on that tea. So I was able to get 297 stitches in Kringles this morning, and that met this prompt because I try to do at least 200 for them. Well, I checked that off, and I'm going to go post it in that Facebook group in a few minutes. And then I went and pulled up this new process, this challenge that I'm trying to stitch on, and the final prompt in that challenge was to stitch on a piece that you could tie to history. Well, I don't know about you, but I can remember historically there were large toy stores, especially at Christmas. If you want to see what I'm talking about, watch the Christmas story about the little boy who wants the Red Ryder BB gun. You'll shoot your eye out kind of thing. Anyway, they showed the department store, you know, in his in that movie. I remember as a little girl having a department store in downtown Macon that we would go to shop. It's no longer there. So some of these are probably in very large cities, but not in smaller towns much anymore. So I felt like the old-fashioned toy store, this kind of a toy store, is part of our history, and that's how I tied this to it. So let me show you what I stitched on for these prompts that I'm talking about. I'm working my way across on the roof, and today I put in all these window parts here, and then because it's the same color, I just had that thread on my needle. I went in here and did part of the roof over here, all the way over to here till my thread ran out. I still have a little bit left to do, but I would like to work on another prompt today. So since I've got 297 stitches in here and I've run off out of thread on my needle, I decided it was a good time to put it aside and work on something else for a little bit. So I will go look at the last 4 projects that I have to touch in order to meet prompts this month. For my acrostic, my 24 hours of cross stitch acrostic, I am still needing, well actually it's only 3 now. I am needing to do my new start for whip go and for my acrostic. And I need to stitch on my Neige at Montagne, which is my snow and mountains, and my nativity for the tea in Teresa Wentzler. This is for the acrostic in 24 hours of cross stitch, which is Friends Who Count. And so I'm looking to stitch on 2 ends and a T. And that's what I had decided to stitch on for those things. It is the 24 hours marathon weekend, and I had hoped to get a good number of hours in this weekend. I don't know what it is about these weekends. As soon as I say, oh, it's the marathon weekend, it's like people come out of the woodwork needing me to do things with them. You know, my husband, my son, my friends. For whatever reason, I can have a completely clear weekend. And the minute that I say I would like to participate in this marathon weekend, it goes crazy. Anyway, so far, I have only about 6 hours from this whole weekend that I have stitched, and it is already 2 o'clock on Saturday. So I'll do what I can, and I'll tell you how much I finally come up with, but it certainly won't be the 24 I was hoping for. But you know what? That's okay. I am tickled that I got the Kringles progress, and now I'm going to pick out one of these other projects that I just mentioned, and I'm going to get working on them. And hopefully we'll knock out at least one more today. Wouldn't that be fun? My husband took a long run this morning, but I had to put up a video. Then I had to walk Coco, and then I had to get supper prepped, and things like that. So life happens. In addition to that, though, I did spend a couple of hours this morning working on music for our Christmas concert that we do at our church. We sing from memory, and that's not easy for me. So I listened to a CD that our minister of music has been kind enough to put together for all of us, so that we could practice at home. He goes to great lengths to make it easy for us. He's actually puts a CD out in the voice part that you sing. So I hear everybody, I hear all the notes, I hear everybody singing in the background, but he will either use the piano and hit the notes loud so I can hear my note, or he'll have a woman who sings the same part sing it, or he sings it. I will tell him at some point when I get up enough nerve, it's harder for me to get the right note when he's singing because I hear a masculine voice, and I don't know that I'm matching it perfectly. When I hear the female voice, I seem to match it very easy. So that's kind of funny because they're singing the same note. But anyway, so I did that for a couple of hours today, and that was important, and I needed to do that. So it's okay. We will get in what we can, and I will be ready for the concert too. So in the meantime, everybody, whatever you're doing on this Saturday, I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope some of it involves stitching. Happy stitching. Welcome back. It is later on October 22nd. I have been able to eke out another prompt for my 24 hours of cross stitch acrostics. So now I only have 2 left for the month. This one was one of my ends. It stood for the name of the piece, which is Neige et Montagne. I can't speak French. Anyway, it means snow and mountains. My friend Marissa told me that. And been working on the outlining of the windows in the past. So today when I picked it up, since I was working on this for simply the 24 hours of cross stitch acrostic, I didn't have to hit a certain number of stitches. I tried for 200 just as a goal for myself, but it freed me up today to just set a small goal if I wanted to, and I did. So my goal was to stitch the inside of one of my window sections, the first one, and I was able to get that done. Isn't that beautiful? I think it is. Believe it or not, this is 391 stitches. There are a lot of little tiny stitches in those snowflakes. But my goal was to stitch the inside of that window, and I got it all done. You may notice the name of this piece is actually spelled out in a bluish color there. It's in the background, it's hard to see, and I can't pronounce it. So I decided to leave it out because I didn't want my friends saying, "What does that say?" and then me having to butcher it every time. So I just went ahead and made sure that this snowflake, where the word had started, was completely whole, and I stitched it correctly based on what the other part of the snowflake looked like. So there you have it. That's my second prompt that I have achieved today. I'm stitching this on a beautiful color and cotton fabric called oatmeal. It's a 32 count. It's very tight, but it's 32 count, it says. I haven't measured it myself to see if it shrunk in the dyeing process, but I think it's showing up. I've got very bright lights on it in here, so it's washing out a little bit. It shows up much better than that in person. I'm loving it. I think it's a beautiful piece. So there you have it. I was able to eke out around 600 stitches today. Almost 600. Anyway, I'm excited about it. I got those 2 prompts done, and now I can move on. If I get any more stitching today, it'll be on Winter Quaker. I may get to put a few snowflakes in or something, but chances are I won't get any more stitching today. My husband just got in from his long run. He and Coco took a brief walk, and now he's ready for dinner because he needs to refuel pretty quickly. And then I don't know what else we might have to work on or do together. So I'll bid you adieu for the day, and I hope to have more stitching to share with you, if not tomorrow, by Monday. In the meantime, though, I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you get lots of stitching accomplished. Happy stitching, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. It is Sunday. It is October the 23rd, and I'm here to give you a stitching update and talk to you a little bit about some plans. Well, today we had a very busy day, and we were out and about and gone quite a bit. So I didn't get to stitch a lot today, but I tried to make it worthwhile. So I went ahead and pulled out my Winter Quaker, and I wanted to continue working across this bottom row here. Yesterday, I actually got this little motif done. That's what I accomplished. I worked on it after I worked on my prompts. And I didn't film on that because I was hoping to just wait and film after I had gotten a little bit more stitching done. So today, I tackled this motif right here. And this one has the initial K in it. I put my initial D for Dina in mine. And so I got that finished today. 429 stitches. But this is where we are. Isn't that beautiful? It's hard to see in the picture. But it looks like a ring of little daisies or something. It's just really, really pretty. I have not put snowflakes in here yet. There's several that go in here. And then I have this one large motif left. This one right here. I have these 2 little birds left. This tiny motif and all these little snowflakes. And I'll be done. So as you can see, I am just working my way through this, trying to finish it this month. So what I have been doing is working on a prompt for my acrostic and getting 1 or 2 of those done in a day, and then whatever time I have left, I'm stitching on Winter Quaker. So I'm really trying to get it finished this month. I hope I can. I do have some stitching left to do. I do have several prompts left to meet in a challenge that was put out Friday. I have 3 prompts left to meet, 2 of which I can meet with a Hawk Run Hollow. But I probably will need to pull out 13th Colony for one of them. And I enjoy stitching on both of those, so that'll be great. And then my last thing I absolutely have to do this month that I want to do is I have a new start. It is the Penny Pumpkin. It's my Whip Go start. and I have it slated to work on, I believe, on Wednesday of this coming week. I've actually taken the days I have left in this month and assigned stitching to each day. And that way I'm sure that I'll hit all my prompts, and I'm hoping that I've given myself enough days to finish the winter Quaker. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. My husband and I have a trip coming up. He is going to be running in the New York City Marathon. That is the first Sunday, I believe, in November. It's the 6th of November. So I've already started planning what stitching I want to take with me. We are going to ride the Amtrak train to New York from Gainesville, Georgia. It actually leaves right here in Gainesville, Georgia. So I will have, hopefully, some stitching time on the way up. We'll sleep first because we're leaving at about 12:30 a.m. on Friday morning. And we'll sleep probably until, mid-morning. And then we will be on the train till 6 p.m. So I should get in a few hours of stitching, maybe some reading. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we are going to be in New York for a few days. And I have my fingers crossed. We are going to try to make it to Needleworkers Delight and do some shopping. I'm excited. I would love to get some fabric there. I have heard really good things about the shop. And I'm looking forward to seeing the shop because I've never been there. And I think it would be fun to actually get to shop in a brick and mortar needlework store again. It's been a long time since I've been able to do that. So I'm looking forward to the trip, but I have to start thinking about what I want to pack for my clothes and then what I want to pack for my stitching. So I'll have a great week next week getting ready. At least doing the planning in my head, and then I can do the actual packing, that last few days before we leave. I hope you've had a great weekend. We certainly have, and I'm looking forward to next week, and looking forward to my stitching next week, and can't wait to share it with you. Happy stitching, everybody. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Dina, and today is Tuesday. It's October 25th, and I'm here to share my stitching with you today. I think if you've watched very many of my videos, you know that when I get really close to a finish, I tend to just buckle down and finish it. I can't put it away. And I have been working on one recently, and I've been making myself do prompts first and then stitch on it. And then I finally decided yesterday that I just didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to go ahead and get it finished and then finish up my prompts real quick. So I'm very pleased to share with you that as of today, I finished Winter Quaker. And here it is. It's so long I can't get the whole thing in. I don't know if I can get back far enough to do that. There you go. There it is in its entirety. I think it is absolutely beautiful. This is the 28 count dwarf linen called for by Karen from Rosewood Manor. These are the Valdani threads. And I don't know if you can see well enough or not, but there are little tiny snowflakes all through this piece as you go. And they're all back stitched in their one tiny strand. The Valdani threads are 3 strands normally, but you use the one in this pattern for all of the little snowflakes to make them much more delicate, But look at these motifs. They are beautiful. And the variegated Valdanis just really adds a whole nother dimension to that. But look how different each one is. Just beautiful. As you get to the bottom, they get bigger and bigger. That's the largest one there as far as space. But then there's another one that you saw me do recently. And then here is the bottom that I just finished today. I just love it. This fabric is beautifully modeled, and it's a picture of this plus, so it is a little tighter even as 28 count. So I love that because it's stitched up beautifully, especially with the 3 strands. So there you have it. I'm going to come back one more time. Let's kind of see the whole thing. Now, I do have a picture frame that this will fit in, but I'm not going to frame it in it because I don't think they complement each other very well. The color of the frame is fine. It's a pretty metallic, kind of a coppery gold color, which looks fine. It's almost that color right in here. However, there's a little tiny decorative bead around the whole thing that's flowers. And I just don't think that goes with this. This is winter and it's snowflakes. And I know there are a few flowers that bloom in winter, but I just don't think it goes well. I looked at it, I measured it. I was really tempted to frame it in there and have it all framed up, you know, to show it to you, but I don't think it works. So I have looked online, and Hobby Lobby does have some picture frames that are just the perfect size, even with a mat. The mat has a 12 by 18 opening, and this measures 11.5 by 18. So I could possibly even mat it and have the mat just right up next to the stitching, or I could take the mat out and it would be fine because you know, I've got 3 inches all around on the fabric, so I have plenty to play with. So I may be going shopping tomorrow for a picture frame, and if I can't find what I want, of course, then I'll need to leave it to be framed. But here it is in time for winter. Very, very happy with that. So I'm excited. This piece I started December 29th of 2019. So I've been working on it for 3 years. It hadn't hit its 3-year birthday yet because I got to it in October. But I kind of tried to think, why did it take me so long to do this one? And I do think that partially it was the threads. I don't enjoy working with the Valdani threads. They are thick and they're cotton and they are beautifully variegated, but they knot up easily. And I spent a great deal of time unknotting my thread. So I will just tell you, I probably wouldn't do it again if I did another Quaker for a season that Karen designed. I'd really have to think about whether or not I wanted to use the Valdani. And here's the way I would do it. Don't hate me. I would use 2 strands for everything. I wouldn't do the single strand background kind of motifs because they are so fiddly and you work so hard on them and then you can hardly see them. And the 3 strands are so thick, they're hard to pull through, and because you're pulling through, they shred or they knot. So I think if I just split them and used 2 strands all the time, I probably would be okay with that. And that's probably what I would do if I was going to do another one. I don't have any plans to do another season. I don't own any of the rest of them. So I don't have plans, you know, to do another one. I'm not saying I would never or that I wouldn't like to. I don't have any in my stash. So I actually bought this on the way to a cross-stitch retreat. And I went with my friend Donna. We drove over together to Sevierville, Tennessee, to a retreat there that Katrina Boyd had one year, obviously in 2019. And it was probably in November. And I walked into the Dixie Darling there in Pigeon Forge, and they had this everything. They had the pattern, the call for linen, and they had the Valdani threads all together, not in a kit, but right together so that you could see they had everything you needed. And I just bought all of it at one time, took it with me to the retreat, and showed everybody. And then I started this on the 29th of December. Not sure why I picked the 29th, but that's when I did. So there you have it. It's done, yay! I'm excited. This is a huge finish for me. Really glad to have it. And I counted my whips tonight when I finished this one. I got all my little cards out to pull this one out so I could put the finishing date on it. And I counted that I have 25 current whips. I have to start a new one for Whip Go for this month, Penny Pumpkin. So I'm still sitting in those 20s. I really had hoped to get down to about 19 or 20 by the end of the year, and I just don't know if that's going to happen. Mainly because I've finished a lot of the real small stuff. So you know how that gets. Get medium and very large projects. So that's okay. But that's not going to keep me from having new starts next year. I've been thinking about what I'm going to do next year. And I still want to have some new starts. There's some things I want to do. And until I get them started, I won't work on them. So I may just be carrying a little bit larger, whip collection through the next year, I guess. I don't know. But thanks for letting me share my finish with you. And I will probably do a big cleanup. I tend to do that after a big finish. I will put everything off my desk. I will clean the desk. I will make sure everything's neat and put away. And then I pull out the next thing I'm going to work on. It's almost like a little palette cleanser. I just do a little sprucing up of my work area, because when I'm going for a finish, I tend to just have threads everywhere. All my threads are spread across the desk so I can grab them, and because I'm probably not going to put it back in the project bag, so I just spread it out across the desk. Anyway, just in case you were wondering, today I stitched 749 stitches for the finish. So there you have it. I hope you had a great day of stitching, and I hope that the week continues to be very productive for you and for me. So until I see you again, happy stitching. Hi everyone, welcome back. It is the 27th of October, and I'm here to talk with you a little bit about my stitching, about Whip Go, and maybe even some plans for 2023. We'll see. Okay, let's start with the stitching. Today, I was determined to meet my goal for Whip Go for the last number of October that I needed to work on, and that was number 6, which for me was a new start, and my new start was Penny Pumpkin by the Scarlet House. Now, I'm well aware that the name of the pattern, Penny Pumpkin, is because of this penny border around here, but I'm not going to stitch the border. I don't want the border because I don't want it to compete with the fabric that I'm going to back the pillow with. So I'm going to leave that part off, but I'm going to stitch everything else on the pillow. And I decided to start right in the middle on my fabric. And my fabric I'm using is a 32 count linen called Winterbrook, and I'm just now getting to use it. But it's a beautiful piece of linen, 32 count linen. And I think this is just popping on that. Isn't that gorgeous? So, as you can tell, I got quite a bit done. I got the whole pumpkin minus this little planter completed. So I will tell you, it's 1,328 stitches. And what I was doing was counting stitches, but I was also counting time because my Whip Go goal was for 10 hours. So there you go. I stitched 10 hours and I'm really tickled with the progress. So this means I have the planter that the pumpkin is sitting on, and I have 12 little Quaker looking stars that surround the pumpkin. I'm talking about these little things right here. I had to actually count them so I could tell you how many there were. That's all I have left to finish this. So I hope maybe to pull this back out this weekend. I would love to be able to do that and stitch on it maybe some Saturday and finish it. Wouldn't that be exciting? I would dearly love to be able to finish this since it was a new start this month. Yay! I hope to. That's what I'm going to try to do. So let's talk about what that does for my whip go, because today we got the new numbers. Yay! So here's my whip go board. One of the numbers that was actually called today, number 1, was my crabapple tree to do a season, and as it turns out, I'd already done it. So I was able to turn it blue immediately this morning. I ran down to my computer, turned it blue, and the other number that was called right here is another new start. Out of the 3 that are left, these 2 I'd already done. It couldn't be one of those. It had to be the only new start left. But you know what? I'm kind of glad it is, because for 2 reasons. One, it's a button and beads trio, which is a Halloween trio. So what a great month to start that in November, right after Halloween. And the second reason that I'm glad it's called this month is because, or called for November, is because I do my goals as long as they're done by the end of the year. So that gives me November and December to get the 10 hours that I put down as my goal. And we're gonna do so much traveling in November. I'm gonna need that time, I think, in December to meet that goal. But that means as soon as I meet that goal, I'm guaranteed a blackout, because I've already done these 2. I'm just waiting on them to be called. Isn't that awesome? So now I have to replace my old whip go board that I've just been marking up with my colored pencils, and I get to put my new one up. Nice and clean and neat. I love it. It'll be great. So that is my stitching for today. Now, as far as the planning is concerned, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about Whip Go 2023. I had been toying with the idea of creating 2 Whip Go boards. And I was going to do one that was holidays, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, that kind of thing. And then I was going to do one that was non-holidays. So it could be anything I was doing for my sewing room, a picture for my home that wasn't theme related for Christmas or Halloween or something like that. Well, I got up my board and I started sort of playing with it. And this is how I have been drafting it. These are little sticky notes so that I can move them around. And what I originally was going to do was put the Christmas, Halloween, holiday one at the top of each square, and then put my little sticky notes at the bottom for the things that were not holiday related. Like this one says pandemic, so you can see I had put it at the bottom of that square. But when I did that and I got my board going, I realized that I almost had enough Christmas pieces with Christmas, autumn, spring, Halloween. That fills up a board. There were only I Am a Needlesmith, Pandemic, Hawk Run Hollow, Mermaid, Royal Games, 13th Colony. So 6 out of 25 spaces was all I had that wasn't a holiday related project. So I got to thinking about that. In order to fill up 2 boards, I was going to need on one of those boards to put in 19 new starts. And I just didn't want to do that because I would have had a chance of having a new start not only once a month, but in some cases twice a month or two in 1 month. So I just didn't think that was the way to go. So I went back to the idea of one whip go board, and I have all of my current whips on here with the exception of one. I do not have When Santa's Away on this whip go board because I want to finish that this year, and I think it's small enough that I can. Between November and December, I think I can get that one done. I don't know if I'll finish any others, and that's another reason why I have them on. This is just a preliminary plan here, so I put them on sticky notes because I was playing with it, moving them around. Anyway, if I finish anything else before the end of the year, that's a big if, I'll just peel that off and put something new there, like a new start. Right now, I don't have any new starts on my whip go board. So that means my new starts will come from other sources, like something that I might do in May, or birthday starts, or New Year, new start, and that kind of thing. So that's just where I'm at so far. I have a draft of a whip go board, and that's all. So that's as far as I've gotten with my planning. I do need to do a stash dive, a deep stash dive, and see if there's some things I really want to put on the agenda to start next year. But I think next year may be a year of finishes. That may be what I try to do more because I want to rotate through what I've been working on. I guess finishing my winter Quaker from 2019 sort of gave me the push that I need to finish some of these older whips. Unless they're big like Pandemic, that are going to be years getting those done. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my little window of planning. And I hope you're thinking about whip go next year. It's not too early to be thinking about it. And then I hope that you'll tell me what you're going to do. Happy stitching, everybody. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It is Friday night. It is October 28th. I'm here to tell you a little bit about my stitching for the day. I did get to stitch a bit this afternoon after playing pinochle with my neighbor and several of her friends. They've been kind enough to include me the last couple of weeks, and I'm learning. To me, it's a very complex game. So I had a good time. We all bring our lunch, and we play from about 10 till about 3. We take a break and eat in the middle. And I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I feel like it's helping me to learn something new, which is always good to keep your brain young and active, that sort of thing. So when I got home today, I looked at my prompts, and I had 3 prompts left that I had not finished as of yet. And those prompts included 2 for Hawk Run Hollow. One was to stitch on a whip that you could relate to hiking, and the second was to stitch on a whip that had flowers and trees or plants. So here's my Hawk Run Hollow. I'm doing spring at Hawk Run Hollow, and I have finished the top and the first 2 squares, and I had started working on the border for the next row. But when I said that I thought of it because it related to hiking for me, I was saying that because there's a stream and a really pretty kind of nature scene there, and also there's trees and birds in the trees up here, things that you would see as you were hiking, and it looks like there's a couple of little trails through here. And One in particular has the two girls walking away from the church, and then of course you've got the beach trail around the lake. So I just said there were plenty of trails that you would want to hike in this piece. And then of course it has trees in it in several different places, and flowers and plants. So I thought it fit fine for those two. The very last prompt in that challenge is to stitch on a whip that is on one you're doing with other people as a sal. And so I will be pulling out my I Am a Needlesmith here in a minute, because I started that as a sal with my friend Donna and Mary, my friend Mary, and I'll be working on that to meet that prompt. And this is one of those challenges where you only have to stitch a couple of hundred stitches. So I did 200 stitches for the first prompt, but I got a little more industrial and I wanted to finish the square. I wanted to finish the border, so I did 371 stitches for the second prompt. So all total today, I've stitched 571 stitches, and I got both of my square borders completed. So now I'm ready to stitch block 3 and block 4. Whenever I pull this out the next time, I'll probably start on 3 and go from there. So I'm very happy about that. So that is my stitching so far today. My hubby decided he would like to go to a local football game here in town. There were several people that we know who are alumni of that school or have kids or grandchildren that attend, and they play for the team. And so since our son played football and we spent every Friday night of our life in the fall, winter football seasons for at least 4 years at the football games, I think my husband was feeling a little nostalgic and he wanted to go see the game. So what that means is I have a little time here for some stitching. So I think I'm going to go ahead and grab my other whip. I'm going to see if I can put in another 200 stitches tonight before I have to call it a night. And if so, then I will be done with all the prompts that I have to finish this month. We had a new challenge that came out today because it's Friday. I haven't even read it yet. If I'm not finished with my challenge by the time the next one comes out, most of the time I try to finish up one before I read the next one. But since I have only one left, I may go read it just to see. But that will be the thing that I probably try to stitch on between now and the end of the month. It'll be one of those, this is one of the challenges that runs for 2 weeks, and so I wouldn't need to finish it before the end of the month. So I've got time to do that one. It's been a great month of stitching. I'm still thrilled that I had the big finish on my Quaker, winter Quaker. And now I have to stop and plan a little bit about what I'm going to stitch on my trip so that I can stitch on other things while I'm here at the house and go ahead and pack up what I'm going to take with me. So I may do that Sunday, or Monday, because we don't leave till Friday morning at 12:30 a.m. in the morning. I will sleep before I stitch. I promise you that. But as I develop my ideas and my plans, I'll share them with you. So I hope to have something either more to share tonight or something to share with you in the morning. Happy stitching, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Dina. It is the 29th of October. It's a Saturday, and I'm here to tell you about what a wonderful stitching day I had today. I'm so tickled about it because I started a new start for Whip Go, and it is by the Scarlet House, and it is called Penny Pumpkin. And that is a lovely pillow that they've made there with that little white pumpkin on there. And their fabric is called Vintage Wood Smoke from Lakeside Linen, and I didn't have that, but I did have a beautiful blue called Winterbrook. This is what it looks like. Isn't that pretty? It's a 32 count linen. So I decided that would be perfect for this pattern. And that's what I had kitted it up with. Now, I don't always use linen. I usually use even weave. I love for my X's to look very smooth and uniform. And on linen, as you know, the threads sometimes are thick and thin, and it can just make it look a little bit different. And a lot of people like that because it looks so vintage and it looks so authentic to what probably is what was originally done. But I just prefer the look of even weave for me, so that's normally what I stitch on. But this piece of fabric was on a freebie table at a retreat I went to, and I was able to grab it up. But even though it was linen, the color won me over and the 32 count. So where did I get to today? I finished it. I'm excited. I'm so excited. Now, you'll notice something right away if you're astute, and that is there is no border on here. The whole title of this thing is because there's a penny border around the edge. But I didn't want the border because I wanted either to put a really pretty fabric on the back to make a pillow, or I wanted to frame it really cute. So I'm gonna go look maybe Monday and see what I can find. I've measured it, and this is measuring about 4 by 6. So I can put it in a 4 by 6 frame if I want the border, you know, the frame to come right up to it. Or I could put it in a 5 by 7 and have 1 inch all the way around. And I think that's probably what I'm gonna do, because this is about what it would look like. I think that would be really pretty. So a little bit about this piece. I used the call for colors where I had them. This is a case where I did not, and my leaves are more green than theirs, but that's okay with me. I like them green. The other big thing I did on here is I made a discovery. I stitched the pumpkin first. This morning I went and finished this black planter. And then I came over and I did the first big little flowery star there. It's a Quaker looking thing. And I moved over to do the small one. That's when it hit me. It's 1 over 1. Those smaller flowers all around this thing, there are 6 of them, 5 of them. They're all 1 over 1. So I thought, oh great. Now I have to do 1 over 1 on 32 count linen, not even weave. But it went really well. This fabric behaved beautifully, and it worked out just fine. Now, one thing I did in addition to leaving off the penny border is I left out one of the little tiny flowers because I wanted even numbers. So I got 5 of the 2 over 2 flowers and 5 of the 1 over 1 flowers. I put them in the same places that were called for on the pattern, except for the one that I left off. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. I know, but you don't have to know. But anyway, I love it. I think it's really a sweet piece. Again, it's the Penny Pumpkin by the Scarlet House. It's not new. It's a 2014, I think, release. I think I saw that. Yeah, copyrighted 2014. But I did like it a lot. This was gifted to me. I don't remember who sent that to me in Happy Mail, but somebody did. And just gave it to me so I could stitch it up. And I'm just thrilled with it. So that's my second finish for the month of October. Totally unplanned, but it stitched up so quick that I am thrilled to say that I'm going to get to add another finish to my Stitch from Stash. It's great. Well, I'm going to say goodnight. It's late. It's very late. It's probably just before it's tomorrow. Just right before tomorrow. But I wanted to get in here and share with you my finish right as it happened. Let you share that with me. And then tomorrow we have a busy day at church and lunch, and then, probably have some planning to do for my trip to New York and get some packing done, make sure all our laundry's ready, some housekeeping things to do, hopefully some stitching. And in the meantime, happy stitching.